Where emotion is involved, evidence is not required.
Greetings, people. I come in peace. First and foremost, let me just say, I am a boxing fan through and through. And as a boxing fan, I've witnessed the behaviour and attitudes of champions over many decades. And I've been extremely concerned for a while now with the behaviour of many modern boxers. It's not just the heavyweight division, but the heavyweight division is the apex, so it sets the standards. A few days ago now, I happened across Michael Bisping's channel, and he asked the question, has Francis Ngannou exposed boxing? And he sort of answered his own question. He said, they are not that good. Michael Bisping also went on to say, this is not the generation that had Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield and Lennox Lewis, etc. And he was absolutely right. To him, Francis Ngannou exposed this generation's so-called elite heavyweights. And I couldn't disagree with that. I've said for a long time now that these heavyweights, particularly Fury and Wilder, are not in the same league as heavyweights of the past. The illogical statement that Tyson Fury is the greatest of this generation or any other was just vacuous. Now, since that fight, people are reconsidering their audacious claims. We now have a public inquiry into the facts. We only need to lift the veil a bit to see how boxing has been steadily eroding. Biased, sycophantic media, casual fans, occasional fans, and pundits who seem to only know about the last 10 years of boxing, if that, have ushered in a time of exasperation and anguish. They've sullied the landscape. Yet now, because of an MMA fighter, we can take a stark look at what boxing has become. By the way, this MMA fighter showed more poise than Wilder, a so-called elite of boxing, and arguably took the so-called best of this era, Fury, to school. After reading a bit about the mixed martial artists and the UFC, I understood that they have to take the next best in their division. They can't pick and choose so easily. And the UFC has final say, as I understand it. Everything is centralized. There's a fixed contract for pay that might differ with performance and pay-per-view and such. That makes perfect sense to me. Performance-related pay. Why not? That would be a great incentive for boxers who just want to fiddle their way through a fight and con the public and the judges. I also learned in the UFC, if a champion doesn't want to fight the number one contender, he is instantly stripped of the title. In the UFC, there's one matchmaker, Joe Silva, one promoter, Dana White. Say what you like about him, but the structure sounds good to me. There's always going to be the guarantee that the best is going to fight the best. We know that boxing has way too many sanctioning bodies. All four main bodies have their title belts for each of the 17 divisions. That makes a total of 68 people who can claim to be the champion of the world. By the way, that's not counting the gold, silver, diamond franchise belts, the Goofy, Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse belt. It's too much. Boxing needs to consolidate the sanctioning bodies and these belts. Do something. Boxers should be fighting the next best in their division in a tier system until they become number one and get a prompt mandatory shot. And like the UFC, the champion gets stripped if they don't take the fight. Isn't that how it's supposed to work? Eddie Hearn has recently said that boxers are picking and choosing and need to be braver. Funny enough, Ben Shalom has just said a similar thing. So we know it is, and it has been, a problem in boxing. And Fury is one of the most conspicuous examples of this debacle, but not the only one. For years now, some boxers have been conning the fans. They've been getting spoiled, taking a paycheck, and only seem to want to fight when they're skint or bored. Then they take a tick-over fight because they've been inactive. I think boxing fans have been treated shoddily, but it's only after reading some things about the UFC I've realised just how disgraceful we've been treated as boxing fans. What we have accepted and paid for would be unacceptable for MMA fans. You know, things like, what's the other side of the street got to do with us? We want to see the best fights, while boxers are in their prime. For economic reasons, the promoters need to get their heads together and start making the fights that the fans want to see. Or some will go over to the UFC. I've seen that with fans already. I don't blame them for being so fed up. Hopefully, Ngannou beating Fury, or doing better than expected, has sufficiently exposed the cracks in boxing. With the economy crisis, savvy fans, radical promoters will get some cohesion. Top fights, good fights. That's enough. No more muggings. Anyway, thanks for listening. And remember, choose life.